Welcome to Our Animal Neighbors in Cambridge. I'm Jade.
And I'm Emma, and today's bird is the
The
northern.
Northern Mockingbird. I went to elementary school at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. School, and I went to middle school at Putnam Ave Upper School.
I went to elementary school at the King Open School, and I went to middle school at Cambridge Street Upper School.
We are members of the Bandland Brass Band, a band made up of students at Cambridge Range and Latin School.
Let's get back to that really cool bird called the Northern Mockingbird. Most people just call it a mockingbird.
But bird experts have another name for this bird.
Mimus polyglottis. Let's see what this awesome bird sounds like. He's playing one song right after one another without stopping.
Let's try to do that.
I don't know if we can do that, but we'll give it a shot. A single mockingbird can learn up to 200 songs, and mockingbirds learn more and more songs throughout their lifetime.
They never stop learning?
Nope, I guess they never graduate from school.
Emma, birds don't go to school.
How do they learn all this stuff then?
Let's ask someone who really knows about birds.
Who do you have in mind?
Wilson Acuña. He's a Mass Audubon educator, and he's a ranger out near Worcester.
I know someone else in Cambridge who might want to join us.
Who's that?
Yumi Izuyama. She's a storyteller who lives in Cambridge. She's from Brazil. I know she's interested in nature. I'm going to ask her if she's seen or heard a northern mockingbird here.
Do you think we can hang out with both of them?
Hi, Jade and Emma.
Hi, Ranger Acuña. Thanks for coming to talk with us about mockingbirds.
You are welcome.
Nice to meet you. Do you mind if I bring my friend Yumi to hear what you're going to say?
Not at all. Bring her on.
Hello, I'm Yumi. What's going on here?
We're just talking about the northern mockingbird. What can you tell us about them and birds like them?
Okay, so the Northern Mockingbird is a very common bird that we have up here in the Northeast, something that we have in Massachusetts very commonly. And I'm glad that this is the theme for today's talk because it's a bird that we can see all year round. So there are many birds that come to Massachusetts and they only spend a couple of months in the spring and the summer, but the mockingbird is really cool because it actually stays the whole year down here. So, and that's one of the reasons it's one of my favorites.
I live in Central Square, and actually I've seen it right here in the courtyard of right in the middle of Central Square.
Seeing as how we are in Cambridge, this is a bird that you can actually find just about anywhere. You can find it out in the forest, you can find it out in a field, you can find it in a cemetery, you can find it in the park near the Charles River, you can find it in the schoolyard, and just about any other place. Like I have seen them all over the place. Something really cool about the mockingbird is that, like as the name says, mocking, like they have a tendency and they have a very special talent that they can imitate the sounds from other birds. In nature, it's usually other birds, but in the city, they hear all of these other sounds that are not natural to them, but they still learn to imitate. So sometimes you hear them imitating like a bell ringing or learning how the sound of an ambulance going by. They can fool just about anybody. Like people who have been studying birds for many years, they still don't know how to recognize whether it's a mockingbird or it's another bird making the sound because they're so good at it.
So, Ranger Vacunia, you mentioned that mockingbirds, they are found in the cities, but what do they eat in the cities?
Well, one of the reasons that mockingbirds are so successful is that they have a really wide range of things that they can eat. So like many other birds in the summer, they become almost entirely insectivores, meaning that they will eat almost entirely insects. Then when it gets colder, and they don't have access to insects anymore because the insects kind of died out for the winter, they become frugivores and they become herbivores. So they start eating berries and other kinds of fruit that they can find. That is a very good strategy if you are a bird that lives in the city. So they kind of eat whatever is available to them, and it allows them to survive all year round. Like even in the coldest of winters, there are still mockingbirds around because they are able to not be too picky.
Is that a mockingbird? What is it doing flying so low next to the car?
Looking at this picture, I'm not sure if this is exactly what the mockingbird is doing, but I have seen them attacking the reflection sometimes. Even if they see themselves in a building window or if they see themselves in a car window, they are not able to recognize that that is not another bird. Like they cannot recognize their own reflection, so they exhibit what is known as maybe an aggressive behavior. Something that I like about this picture over here is that you can see one of the most distinctive characteristics of the mockingbird. There are these two big white patches on the wings, and those are distinctive because no other bird that we have around here has those patches. So if you see those big white patches on the wings, you can be sure that it's a mockingbird.
I hear that you're from Colombia and you speak Spanish. Do you ever use that in your job when telling stories about animals?
I certainly do. For especially when I'm working in Worcester with Mass Sullivan, you get a lot of kids from the city who are Spanish speakers. Many of them have just come to the country and they don't speak any English. Some of them speak a little bit, but it has been a big advantage for me to be able to use my language skills to transmit my love and my knowledge of nature to a wider audience. And like the more languages you speak, the more people you can reach.
Yumi, do you ever tell stories about animals?
I do. I have some stories about even animals here in Cambridge. Well, I made one. And about monarch butterflies and so on. But also I've made stories of animals in Brazil, which is I'm from the Amazon forest also.
Ranger Acuña, how did you become a ranger?
Long story short, my entire life, I was always interested in nature. Since I was a little kid, I was always watching documentaries and reading encyclopedias and learning everything that I could about nature. So I always knew that I would be doing something in that field, like something related to nature. So I went to college, I got a degree in biology, and I started working with Mass Sullivan, with the Massachusetts Audubon Society for a few years, working in environmental education. And eventually I found my job as a ranger, which one of my responsibilities is doing that, just learning as much as I can about nature and telling people about it.
Oh, that's so interesting. It sounds like you just tell stories about animals, just like me, but real stories. Mine is more, imagination, but yours are real stories about animals. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that is a very good way to put it. And like, since I was very little, the thing that I wanted the most was to be able to tell people all of the things that I learned about animals. So I would spend hours watching documentaries and learning everything that I could about lions and birds and everything. And then I just wanted to tell people. And back then, not a lot of people wanted to listen. Like my friends in the neighborhood didn't want to listen. But now that is my job, actually, and people want to listen to me. So that is wonderful. And it is right. It is like telling a story and what we call the natural history of the animals or the plants or whatever part of nature it is. So you start where they live, where they come from, what they eat, how they interact with themselves, how they interact with other animals. So it is a form of storytelling.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ranger Acuña.
Bye.
Bye.